Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Board Games Unlocked, and we're doing a no run-through review for Ignite. This is one of my newest games that I got off Kickstarter. Went through and looked like development hell, from what I remember through all the updates. They were having quite a few issues. But it is a deck-building skirmish game, which resides in their fantasy world, and if you're a fan of the channel, then you know probably one of the reasons why we're doing a no run-through review. It's because
we hate fantasy games.
Because, yeah, you know what, Brad and Kat? I don't know why I keep trying to make skirmish games work.
It's your toxic trait, and
they sound so great in theory. I feel like I should like them, but every skirmish game I end up really not liking. Which is a little harsh on this. This game is just boring. Like, that's really kind of what it comes down to. And skirmish games should be quick, fast-paced, and usually it's either they're too simplistic for me, and that I'm like, what's the point? Or they're just bad, but this game's kind of like right in the middle. It's
mediocre.
It's mediocre, yeah.
That's the best.
That's a good way of putting it. This game has so much potential, and even looking at the Kickstarter whenever I backed it like 7 years ago, and no, I think it's I'd have to look up
2 or 3.
Yeah, I want to say about 2 years. Yeah, which is fine. I mean, I'm not knocking them for that. I'm just happy I got it at all. It's yeah, this game has so much potential with the amount of variety of the cards. And the fact that the terrain all does different stuff and that the cards affect the terrain. It just sounds so hyped up, but in actual practice, it's very slow. It has all the markings of I would probably say a bad deck builder, with the slowness of a skirmish game. So, what do you guys think of Ignite?
yeah, it was all right.
Yeah?
That was about it. It was all right. I think my biggest complaint was we just needed one more player, or the board needed to be smaller.
Yeah.
Well, and to that point, talking about, because mostly in skirmish games, mostly 3 players is not good.
Yeah.
In skirmish.
True.
But, and one of the positives of this game is the trophy system for victory points, because, you know, even though it's ended up what happened in this game, I could have just stayed back here, let you guys whittle each other down, then go in and finish you off in a last man standing type thing.
Yeah.
This one, where we're fighting for trophies, you can't turtle.
Yeah.
Because you've got to get over and do stuff. So, I mean, that's what makes it a viable 3-player game, I guess, for skirmish. Which is good. That it's not just strictly you need to play with even numbers and
right. Yeah.
And stuff like that.
I actually didn't mind it at 3. Because that was my problem was, either someone just stays out of it and lets 2 people fight, but then by the time they get in, it's like, I actually lost.
Yeah, because I was just getting into the battle and you won with trophies.
Yeah, and they have cards that actually counteract that. It's like, I won a turtle. It's like, okay, I'm going to meteor strike, and then I'll just target where you're at. Yep. It's like, but here's why I think that the game is not worth it. It's because it's a deck builder. Deck builders inherently already have a problem of luck, especially in the competitive sense. In a cooperative sense, it doesn't matter because it's like, I got a shitty hand. Okay, well, we have a shitty hand because we're working together. But the only way you can move is through cards. The only way you can attack is through cards. So, and some cards need other cards for you to attack. I mean, case in point, the bow and arrow, which in theory sounds cool. Hey, yes, thematically, I need an arrow to use my bow. Although I've never understood why arrows can't inherently be attacked because you can stab someone, but that's besides the point. And it's like, man, that sounds so neat. But then you forget that you have to luckily draw those cards. And there were so many times where it's like, man, I wish I could move and to attack you with my melee. Didn't get any movement. So apparently we were just inept at moving.
Well, and I think I think their balancing aspect of that, and I'm not saying it got totally balanced with this, but there's several cards we came across that are trash.
Yeah.
So you are really, I mean, the amount of time we played, I mean, the deck is not that big.
No.
Yeah.
So, I mean, so you're getting through your deck pretty quick.
Yeah.
Because you're drawing up to 6 or 7 in my case cards. So that makes it a little better chance of you getting those. I'm not saying it's. I mean, it's still luck for sure.
It is still luck, yes.
But it makes it because, like, if you're playing, let's say, Ascension, something like that. I mean, if we played a game that long, my deck would be up here, you know. So it's like
a tower.
Well, right. So I mean, it's like I can because we have a nice stack of cards we trashed throughout the game. So I mean, it kept our decks reasonable. So that way, it made the odds better of getting your arrows to.
Yeah,
still luck.
And there's of course cards that let you draw more, and there's like you said, multiple ways to trash our beginner cards. Like every standard deck builder has ways of you getting your starting deck out, so you start siphoning a little bit better. But in my case, like for example with the elves, they want, of course, ranged weapons. You don't have to build that way, but otherwise, if I don't build that way, I don't have an ability.
Right.
And I mean, same with the Kitsune, the cat blade. She needed pure spell cards, but those, like, she had meteor strikes and lightning bolts and things like that. Oh, hey, okay, well, I don't want to use these, so they're actually 2 honor.
Yeah, and it came in handy quite a lot.
Right, and which is really cool. You had 7 cards, so once your deck got going, it's just like, oh, now I'm going to kick ass because I have these. You have higher chances of using it, but you're kind of stilted at the beginning. But with my build, for example, it's like, okay, I'm just going to buy the longbow and the arrows, and if I don't get arrows and I got my longbow, at least the longbow costs, like, the honor system, the honor, which is their currency, allows you to buy an arrow. So chances are you're going to get arrows, but even then it's very annoying to be like, okay, well, I drew only arrows, or I drew my bows because I had multiple bows, but I didn't draw any arrows. So
which means later you're only going to be drawing arrows, so you're like, great!
Exactly. And it's like, even then, it's like, the only types of combinations that I saw with this setup, it's like, oh man, I can use my gladiator net and my meteor strike and ensure I'm going to kill someone. That's pretty neat. Oh, don't have any movement. Can't get in range of the net. Okay, like this hand, for example, it's like I have a meteor strike, so I just have to hope no one moves. And then the gladiator net, no one's in range. Ice wall, that does nothing. No one's going to get to me. Triple sheath only allows me to draw 3 and get melee weapons, which I don't have any movement to use the melee weapons. So it's like I feel either they wanted to do a deck builder, obviously. But they're like, well, what about a skirmish game? But they didn't enhance either.
Well, and Kickstarter, miniatures. If you put miniatures in a game, and then you throw the special thing where you put dagger hit points in the back, which was interesting way of keeping track of it. Yeah. But to make a Kickstarter successful, the old adage is put miniatures in it. Yeah,
that's absolutely true. I mean, because like even then the minis aren't fantastic, and some of them don't even fit in their bases. And it's not just the red ones. I tried because I was like, okay, Brad, I guess you won't be red. I'll try white. Nope, this is just too small of a base to fit in any of them. Yeah, like you said, this feels like a kick.
All of Brad's minis?
Nope, just
that one.
Just this
so
one.
Weird. That's such a weird.
And some of them, I mean, even the elves, it's like they fit, but they're a little loose. Well, these actually kind of stick. I felt like they didn't snap in. This feels like a Kickstarter that should have came out
10 years ago.
Well, not 10, but
it feels like a 10-year-old game to me.
And the only reason I don't say that is because of.
Because what? Well, no.
My brain just shut down.
Well, listen, because the deck building. Think about the deck building part of it.
Yeah.
Forget about that. There's nothing innovative with the deck building.
True.
From a deck builder 10 years ago. This is Dominion.
That's true.
Which
is what the designer said when he gave it a 10 out of 10 on Board Game Geek.
Right. Well, that's what you were saying, though, is because he was like, well, they wanted a deck builder, they wanted a skirmish, but they didn't innovate.
They didn't know how to.
There's nothing innovative with the deck building system.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Now, and then they put this part on, and there's nothing really innovative about this, except for the miniatures and the hit point daggers. Which means that's why it makes it feel, to me, just like an old game.
Yeah. For sure.
You know, mediocre. I'm not saying, I don't hate this game.
No, this isn't
I don't hate it, but I don't it's not one I'm gonna.
And
go.
that brought up the question.
Yeah.
It's like, because okay, so let's think of things that they did try to innovate. Terrain. Okay, so they have different types of terrain, multiple different types of terrain. Granted, only some of them come with the expansion. So you have the lava, which kills you instantly, but you can't self-sacrifice, so you can't just be like, oh, you're going to kill me? Haha, I'm going to run into the lava so you don't get the trophy. You can't do that. It's like, alright, so what's the lava for? Obviously, so you have to go around, and movement is only orthogonal, which I typically, funny enough, I said this, prefer, except in this game, because it's so fucking slow to get near anyone that... And even then, because you were talking about, oh, this doesn't work well as a 3-player game, or typically they don't.
Right.
Well, they prevent any quick. If we had 4 players, well, then you still have the mountains to block you, and this goes up to 6 as well. Absolutely not.
No, that'd be such a.
I'd be like,
Yeah.
can I please go? Like, there's no way I would max out this. So. Even the number of players doesn't matter because even the board's even bigger. Like it's like
Oh jeez.
massive. It's double this.
Yeah.
As a 3 or 2 to 4 player game. So they want you. You have your starting areas, and even then, every single game, because you start in a village, is going to be you. Everyone's just buying cards. So you're doing nothing with the skirmish part,
Right.
Until you do the deck builder part.
Any old deck builder, that's what you do. You
That's
spend
true.
the first several turns trying to get your deck with some cards in it. Start more purchase power cards. Start buying the bigger ones. Start buying the bigger ones. And it's just.
And then so you're trying to divide and conquer by being like, well, I want to play the game, so I want to get out, but there's no point in moving out. So what they almost should have done is ignore the village part. Because it's like, okay, well, yeah, you're not going to do anything until... And they tried to make it where the village is... Oh, if you get attacked in the village, it's double damage. So they're trying to be like, don't stay in here the whole time. But... So, once you actually move out and get your deck going, you're never going to run back.
Yeah, because you can't buy cards anymore once you move out of the deal.
Exactly.
That's why you keep one... You kind of keep one back. Just to buy.
And... and then they have the bazaar... Which was like, okay, well, that's the quick way of doing it. Like, you sell your shitty cards for their cost to buy the more powerful ones. So almost what they needed to do was nix the village part and have everyone fight for going to the bazaar, because that gets you into the game quicker, because everyone's going to the middle to fight one another. But even then, you have nothing to fight each other with except shitty daggers.
Yeah.
So it's not even... It just has extremely bad pacing, or it has the pacing of a deck builder, which makes the skirmish part bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. To me, like I said when we were doing our games, was like, this could all just go away. Mm-hmm. And if they just altered some of the wording on these and just had a back and forth, then it still would have been filming. It wouldn't have been original.
Yeah.
Like, they could have made this original, the deck building part, by doing what we were thinking could have been the case, is when you buy a card, that ability takes place.
Yeah.
That could have been something innovative. That would have been something when you buy a meteor. Oh, you bought it? Pick a spot.
Get to use it, yeah.
You use it immediately, you know?
Yeah, because that's what we were looking whenever we were first playing, and I'm like, why is this so slow? Why is this so boring? And then, because they say when you buy a card, it goes in your play area, I'm like, oh, so that must mean you get to use it. Nope, it's just because cards affect discard piles, and so it's just so you can't, like, double use a card.
Right.
And it's like, okay.
Well, and I was thinking about this, the ice wall that we had been purchasing, how it pushes people.
Yeah.
Because you could push people into lava with this.
Yes, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
that was something
that would have been cool.
And they're like, oh, what if we did that? And it's like, yeah, but you'd have to absolutely position yourself in a way that would happen, so it's very unlikely.
It's more of like it's a attack of opportunity. It's definitely not something that like builds and builds and builds. You're just like, I can finally get there, and this will probably work.
Or because even the designer, because I was reading his own ranking of his own game, which is
fair enough, pretty unbiased, I bet.
I mean,
it's mediocre at best.
Dude,
Anyway,
don't buy this game if you want to have
10 out
fun.
of 10.
I just wanted your money. Nope, 10 out of 10. No, and he's like, I wanted a game that you tell stories, and that would be one. Oh, remember that time I fucking used a nice wall and pushed you into the lava? Yeah, that was so fucking cool. And it's like, yeah, no, it wasn't, because it was so slow.
Typically,
I could see you running from across the map Because I'd have to be like, oh, ha, and then ice wall, and ice spell.
or net. You get netted.
I will be laughing about net for quite a while.
Yeah, I mean...
But I'm not sitting around the campfire reminiscing with you guys about...
This is not one of those games that I am going to be reminiscing about. There's no cool combos. There's not times where I'm thinking back and be like, oh, remember that cool... The time I netted you, then meteor striked you.
Remember when I meteor striked you and you fucking moved? That was neat.
and you probably ought to have the caveat. I mean, we haven't used every deck of cards.
No, absolutely
so,
not.
I never got to use my axe.
So just before the comments start getting out of hand,
no, you have to play this game with this combination to make it. It's like, no.
Like, first of all...
If you are having to alter the entire game to make it fun, you inherently made a bad game. Because it's like... With this amount, and there's a bunch of cards, especially when you have the expansion, there's a bunch of different ways that you can, there's randomizers, of course, so you just, shuffle and be like, okay, now we have this setup, how's it going to change? You should be able to take any combination of cards, and the crux, what the meat, or the bones of the game is still fun, and these should enhance this. It almost feels it needs to be reversed. This should have been a skirmish game with deck builder components, not a deck builder game with skirmish components, because it makes everything super duper slow. And luck based. I can't move. Why not? Why can't I just inherently move? Like, it's almost like you needed, like you said, okay, burn 2 cards to be able to inherit, or just
3 cards. Just
everyone gets a move.
Yeah. One move, just one.
I think the burning cards would be good because then it's a balance thing. Like, because then you're losing buying ability by burning cards to
And
move.
It's another way to mitigate your shitty...
You know what I'm saying? So if you have a crappy
cards.
hand, you can get rid of a few cards to
at least do something.
Just move one space. Which, I just... Because in the skirmish game, positioning and everything is so crux, at least in most, that... But once everyone kind of builds their decks... and then they run into the actual part of the game, you're not moving around again. Like, yeah, you could be like, oh, I'm almost dead. All right, I'll gladiator net you and then run away. But it's like, that's only for one turn, and then you still have the other person that's just going to shoot you with arrows or meteor strike or lightning bolt you. So, once again, it falls into the trap of skirmish games that bother me, where it's like, okay, there's really no positioning. There's no tact in anything I'm doing. My entire point was to be like, well, I don't want to waste my deck on weapon dealer cards. I'll run to the middle and just start selling that way, and that's how I got any of the cards I wanted. But I'm the elves, so I'll just get bows and arrows, and that's very boring, because I'll shoot 3 arrows at you and do 3 damage. Like, there's no excitement here.
Well, right, and I think that's, I mean, because a lot of these types of games, most of the time there's a learning curve.
Mm-hmm.
This one was pretty simple to jump into. I mean, I guess that would be considered a positive. I mean, because when you were looking through, I mean, it was pretty self-explanatory.
I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, when you do a damage, you do damage.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
it.
If you can't block it, it's damage.
One little dagger, and I remember this being like their big selling point.
Yeah.
Oh man, whenever you hit them, you put a little dagger in their
back. Which I think is super cute.
It's fine. Like,
super cute.
I mean, it's cool. They're red. They're very obvious.
I wouldn't say it's a selling point, but
no, I mean, absolutely not. And it's like they fit, like that you wedge them in there and they don't fall out. So that's what they focused on. That was one of their delays, was the daggers didn't fit the way they wanted to.
Like, it's aesthetically pleasing, which is pretty important.
It reminds me of the item meeples from the
Tiny
Epic games.
Yeah.
That's a little gimmick with the
right
piece. I
also think where they truly missed the mark is every faction should have started with a different deck.
Yeah. I mean, of course, and again, that goes back to my thing, a 10-year-old deck builder.
That's true.
Every deck builder from that deal, everybody started with the exact same cards.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good point, because it brings it right back into that old school deck builder stuff.
Because nothing about us feels special. Like, we're all just like we're different races.
Yeah.
But we have no racial abilities other than
the only thing is this.
Which I think is very silly, because that's the key fantasy thing is like if you're going to be a different race, like
Mm-hmm.
oh, I'm an elf, so I have like superior cards. Like it would make sense because you have you're
Like-
more prone to I
Like
don't know.
you should start as the Kitsune with your ability of pure spell cards.
I should have more
You
spell
should have
cards.
pure
Yeah.
spell cards. I should already have bows and arrows. I shouldn't have to go out and be like, I'm the elves that use range. Oh shit, we forgot to bring them.
I'm carrying a sword.
Yeah, and I'm carrying a sword and shield.
Yeah, I don't.
Wait a
know.
minute. What do I shoot?
Yeah.
This tries to javelin.
I was actually thinking of that, looking at it, and I'm like, yeah, why do you have it?
And everybody only having 3 hit points, because I just flipped over my other one to look, and it's the dwarves, right?
Yeah.
And the dwarves' ability, it says all successful melee attacks do +1 damage if you're outside the village.
Yeah.
So it's like 2 damage. Like 1 hit with this guy takes 2/3 of your heal, and it's done.
Yeah, I mean, the orcs are units die after taking 4 damage. Any weapon or war machine that does damage 3 only does 2
They have
damage.
4 health.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and they're from the expansion.
Right.
Yeah,
so,
the lizard people can just move through the harmful terrain.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's weird to me that there's a village all the way around this open field.
It's a weird ass border, and it's broken up by the mountains, just so you can't run across the village and start attacking.
That's what I was planning on doing.
Yeah, it's just like it makes also no thematic sense. First of all, I'm gonna ignore the fact that you can shoot over forest spots
Or throw a net over.
throw a net. Is that a cloud? Is that a
You're like enjoying the one clearing. You're just like,
man? I can't wait to go in.
Just imagine the accuracy of the person throwing the net over the deal to hit
I know you're just
somebody.
like disc,
It's
like
yeah,
I'm gonna use my drone.
just gently place it on you.
and it's like because it's not like a damaging net. It's just more of annoying. You're just like, great. I have to weirdly get out of this.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like okay, well, elves are all about range. I guess I have to save up to get a goddamn longbow. It's so expensive.
Yeah, all
Like-
their cards are expensive. Of course, with this,
They
being
made it
able to-
it's all mechanical. There's nothing thematic. It's all
Right,
mechanical. You have to go to the bazaar to sell your shitty cards. So the game doesn't even really start until you're an hour in, and then it's like by that point, yeah, you might have taken some damage, and even then, whenever you die, like they should have just left it at player elimination because they didn't want to do that either. Because it's like, okay, well, sorry, Cat, you got kicked out. Guess you're now controlling water minions. Your deck's gone. You don't get to play any more cards. Now they can move 1 to 2 and deal 1 damage.
and you can still gain
swarm.
trophies. So
Yeah.
you could still win, being the
These
Water
water
minions.
minions, and it's like,
Because-
wait, how are they moving through the
Right.
plains?
Well, don't pay attention to that.
Yeah, they just didn't want to stick to their guns on that part.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, I guess you can swarm because you summon them, and so you can have 10 water minions, and it's like, that's just
Well,
obscene.
listen, if there's one thing that I've learned that everybody loves, it's swarm.
Well, it's just,
But yeah, no.
yeah, everything.
I would have been definitely fine with player elimination. I feel like
Yeah, I was gonna house rule it
I think
and be
it's-
like, yeah, I'm not dealing with, we're not pulling out the stupid minions. That's so dumb. Yeah, I mean, it's not great.
it's a game.
well.
I-
Oh, sorry.
Well, I was gonna say because I don't. Deck building is not my go-to mechanism anyway.
Yeah.
I like deck builders, but they have to be innovative. Like I have to be like, oh, that's different. Like Imperium, for example, that came out in 2021. It's like every single, I was gonna say race, every single civilization,
Right.
it has unique deck, unique cards. Like everyone's completely different. Aeon's End has it's cooperative, but it also has the like the build of your deck to flip. I was trying to think of another deck builder, but like pure ones like Dominion and things like that, are boring to me. And this is just boring. It's a lot of fluff, but it's a Kickstarter bloat. This reeks of
This reeks of
Kickstarter.
Kickstarter.
And
Yeah.
It just
And
is, yeah.
as much as I love deck builders, you know, like like I'm done with Dominion, because that was an old or
Sure.
Thunderstone,
yeah.
it is what it is, but yeah, I mean, because deck builder is my go-to, like deck
Right.
building is my thing, and that's why I think they could have made a game just out of deck building, but then it still would have been aged
Yeah.
But there's enough deck building people out there that would have done it. You know,
Yeah, that's
this
true.
doesn't. So that like this doesn't isn't going to satisfy deck builders enough. This isn't
Yeah.
going to satisfy
Because you can't do anything
skirmish
with
people enough.
Yeah.
So there's nothing that really will entice.
Yeah,
enough,
whoever
you know?
their target audience was, it's like they missed the mark on both people, which is bad because because it's sounding bad because it's like we're only dogging on it, but there's nothing great about anything
Right.
in the game. And it's not that it functions fine.
Yeah.
Like, in terms of a deck builder, it's just not fun. And it actually does bug me. Like, whenever you have your own designer ranking your own game.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, you need to just not do that.
That's
That's
weird.
just sad.
That's like you going onto YouTube and
and being like,
I like all
it's
my
like
videos.
when people are like, "Hey, who are your favorite board game reviewers?" Well, I not to my own horn, but I usually watch Board Games Online because I think that guy's pretty fucking great. It's like, dude, that's just sad. Who are you trying to convince that your game's good? Other people or yourself?
Yeah, but yeah,
both.
It's and like I said, I don't hate anything about this game.
Yeah. I mean,
It's just kind of right there. It's a game.
I wouldn't go out and I wouldn't play this again, though. That's the thing.
See, I probably would.
Okay.
Just because, and that was a point I was gonna make a little bit ago, as it takes a long time to get your deck set to feel comfortable to start attacking, right?
Yeah.
Once that happens, though, I mean, all those deaths happen real quick.
So you don't even get the fun of the combo.
No, I understand, but I'm just saying, like, the deck building thing takes a long time, but then the game doesn't last that much longer. Like, once everybody decides, okay, it's time to start fighting, then it doesn't take very long.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, I'm not going to say I'm going to run out and play it again, but if somebody was like, hey, you know, I have this game, you want to play it?
This was almost this was $190 for.
I mean, it's definitely not worth 190 bucks.
That was for the all-in, I think.
The miniatures aren't great.
The miniatures aren't great. It's the all-in pledge for $190.
Yeah.
Part of the all-in pledge is that you have to leave a 10 out of 10.
I dodged this bullet because I was going to back it.
You did, but for $190 for all-in, I mean, we're seeing games like that, like Dungeon, whatever. There's another. It's the second edition.
Who's got the
Dungeon.
Dungeons of Infinity or
That's
whatever.
it. Yeah.
That one was
that's
cool.
like $140 for the all-in, but it's like, that seems too good to be true. But they also market this game on Kickstarter as a tabletop miniatures board game, and they're like a deck building battle, asymmetric. It's like, no, asymmetry is. Yes, I guess so. We do have different abilities, but no, you do not play any different.
Yeah.
Which is my version of asymmetry. It's like they understood,
because the abilities were just for buying, like mine.
or what you would buy.
Yeah. So that's not really.
Yes, essentially.
Buying one too. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like essentially you would. Mine wasn't. Mine was ranged attacks have +1. With it's like, yes, essentially you would build asymmetrical, like. Humans should have been going for melee weapons, I guess, and then I'd go for range, but you don't have to. But there's no reason why you wouldn't. There's no reason why you wouldn't go for pure spells. It's just, it takes so long to get there.
Yeah.
And it just drops the ball on both. Yes, it's a fine deck builder. You do deck building things, but then the skirmish part's not great. And if you try to do the skirmish part, your deck's going to suck, so you can't do anything.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it still comes down to luck on your hand draw. It's like, man, I'm glad I built for long-range weapons, but I didn't get my arrows, so... I'll buy more arrows!
Yeah, it's a risk. I mean, this is one of those risk games. You know, you back on Kickstarter, and they don't have much out.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, that's kind of the risk you throw in. Yeah, like you brought up Dungeons of Infinity. I mean, they're from a company that is putting out good stuff.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to put more trust into stuff like that, you know?
Yeah.
But it's where, I mean, you know.
It is what it is.
It could have been a 10 out of 10. You don't never know.
No, it is. It is based off whatever his fucking name is. Darren. God damn it, Darren. I got nothing else to say about this one.
Yeah, I'm good.
Alright, on a scale of 1 to 10, Kat?
Yeah, I'll give it 4.
4?
Yeah. I would say it would, sorry, just real quick, it would be just average, because it is, like, very average, but, like, there's just, like, a few, like, key components, like abilities, and, like, lack of special cards for your own race, and miniature, like, quality control issues, so I'll put it below, just right below.
I'm gonna throw it right at the good old 5, right in the middle. Just I've been saying it the whole review. It's mediocre, average game, right in the middle.
Yeah.
5.
I'm actually gonna agree with Kat. I was thinking 5, like, because we were talking about that there's nothing here that like I inherently hate. Like, I'm not viscerally mad about any one thing, but I almost think that it's a painful deck builder that's super slow. Even if you do get your deck going, the skirmish part is very painfully average. So it's like painfully average, which drops it below average for me. So I'm going to give it a 4 as well. And also, I really hate that the designer ranked his own fucking game.
I just think that's so
That's
awkward.
so sad. Like,
that's just really...
that's because it's like, people go off those rankings on Board Game Geek, and he's just buffing the fucking. He probably told all his friends to go on Kickstarter or on board. Hey, give it a 10, please.
It's an 8.6. Was that what it said?
I think it's 8.2. Yeah.
That.
Yeah.
It's just like you can't trust that, and I don't know. It's not very.
Yeah.
Doesn't have a lot of integrity.
All he had to do was go on, because he explained what he wanted to do. That's perfectly fine. What your goal was with this game, do that on the forum. Hey, designer note, here's why I made Ignite. That's perfectly fine, but the fact that it's in the rating portion, and it's like, no, you are...
And he gave it a 10.
And you are absolutely... It's like, no, like... It's just, don't rank your own game. It's also the same people who went on Kickstarter or whenever they explain on the back of the box an innovative, fast-paced, whatever. And it's like, don't tell me, like, or like the best whatever.
They're using buzzwords.
Yeah, try that. Yeah, to hype up their own game. And it's like, look, you don't get to tell people what your game is like because it's already biased. And that's for them to decide. It's like the only reason that ever works is when reviewers are praising your game and you're on Kickstarter and you're looking at all the different things. Oh, Rado, Dice Tower, Man versus all these people said this about it. Okay.
It's better to have a citation, but like it's like if I wrote a book and I was like, thrilling, fast-paced, excellent book, number 1 in America. And it's like, wait, what? Like you're saying that?
Why are you saying that your game is
It's not
great?
even out yet. You're saying it's number 1?
Exactly. And so I very much do not like. That's the first time I've seen that. Like,
I don't remember ever seeing it either, but I don't.
And to me, it's just very cringy.
And it may happen on a lot more like small publishers, like first games. I never really looked, but
yep. So 445. That's our thoughts on Ignite. Let us know what you think of the game in the comments below. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you. Hey everyone, thank you for watching, and I really hope that you enjoyed the video. If you would like to see more of my content, go ahead and click that subscribe button and the bell to be notified whenever I upload any new content. If you feel like supporting the channel, you can go ahead and click that Patreon link to be taken to my Patreon, and any help is truly appreciated. Other than that, stick around for any other run-throughs or reviews or cool top 10s or whatever I feel like putting on. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.